Well, one flashpoint of the so-called Cold War was China's war with India over Kashmir. And after this week's Delhi decision to seize control of the disputed Jammu and Kashmir region, I'm joined now from Delhi by Uttar Pradesh MP from India's ruling BJP party, Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Subramanian, thanks for coming back on. Now, up to 40,000 people died since 1987 in conflict there. India now has total control. What exactly is going on there? Because landlines have been cut off, mobile phones, everything's been cut off. Journalists can't get there.
Well, the internal report I heard is from my party associates on the ground, which includes Muslims also. And they say everything is fine. And there's all quiet, there's nothing happening, no revolt. And that's what our expectation was too. And of course, until the curbs are all lifted, the curfew is lifted, we won't know for sure. But I guess that nothing will happen when that happens.
Because you probably know that Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has compared your party to the Nazi party under Hitler.
Yes, sure. Yeah, he must have been told what to speak by the military. He's a dummy. I don't take anything he says seriously.
Well, we'll be speaking to the Pakistani High Commissioner. Did Delhi consult with Beijing beforehand, before making this announcement?
Well, I don't think we would have consulted them on the specifics because they are really internal matters. After all, what we are doing is just making amendments in our constitution. But we might say to them that we are following the constitution. This is what the constitution says, and we are always subject to challenge in the court by those who don't like this. I doubt that we would have told the Chinese that, because it's none of their business.
Already it's affecting India, isn't it? Foreign Ministry of China said this week the Indian side has continued to undermine China's territorial sovereignty by unilaterally amending its domestic laws. This practice is unacceptable. Forget Pakistani nuclear weapons. China obviously has nuclear weapons too. What exactly has India achieved so far by this unilateral decision for direct rule of Jammu and Kashmir and that region?
We have complied with the promise we made to the public of India that we'll remove this nonsensical curb put on the Constitution of India. We are one country, we can't have two constitutions, and we can't have two different laws on who can settle where. And freedom of travel is in a basic part. Equality of gender, that is men and women, that's also our fundamental right in Article 14 of the Constitution. So we have just complied with the promises we made during the election.
Yeah, but it's been in the manifesto before, and the BJP never did it. Do you think, I mean, you're old enough probably to remember the war with China in 1962, I don't know. Do you think your BJP colleagues remember that Aksai Chin is part of Xinjiang Hotan province, according to Beijing?
Well, that's what they say, but we are always hopeful that in negotiations they will change their mind, and there are some things which they are not able to explain. In the eastern side, where much of the battle took place in '62, they say that we won't accept imperialist drawn line, but they went in the following year and signed an agreement with Myanmar, in those days called Burma, exactly stating that they accept the Magon line is the international boundary between China and Myanmar.
You see, far from British colonialism, and you've been on the show talking about that before, is the BJP, far from being a nationalist party, being a poodle of Washington party. You know Donald Trump wants to attack China economically through the trade war. The BJP is doing exactly what Washington wants India to do, to stop the rapprochement of Delhi and Beijing.
Well, that's not quite correct. The Americans are very angry with us. They are now helping Pakistan quite a bit, and so is Russia. And the Americans hope that the Pakistanis will bring the Taliban around to them. And once the Americans leave Afghanistan, the Taliban will head for Kashmir. So we are, in fact, in one sense, securing ourselves for a future possibility of fighting the Taliban.
Okay, but I mean, do you think Trump was lying when he said, when meeting with Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, that India had asked him to negotiate the Kashmir situation?
Well, I know Narendra Modi since 1972. He would never say that, even in jest. So I think probably the Indian accent of Mr. Narendra Modi may have been misunderstood by Trump. There's no question of allowing Americans or anybody else to negotiate what is essentially our territory in occupation by the Pakistanis.
So the BJP, they just can't see that there are people in Washington who would be happy to see the revocation of Article 370 so that there are tensions between India and China.
Well, I think any Democrat who knows constitutional principles should have been aghast that we took so long, that Indians cannot invest in Kashmir. It's the most beautiful part of India, and we would like to develop it as a tourist center.
Well, Mike Pompeo is reportedly trumpeting the anti-China US alliance. What did you make of the fact that the US has even allowed India to use ports in Iran, the port Chabahar in Iran, not something it allows other countries to do when it comes to Iran? The Royal Navy is patrolling near there.
Well, we never asked American for permission. Iran is a good friend. They're a Shia country, and we have a lot of trouble with Wahhabi Muslims. So we think we should be friends with Iran. The Shias within India are very, very supportive of the Hindu community here. And I can tell you that I'm considered a friend of China, I think both in India and in China. And I don't see the Chinese temperature rising beyond what they want to demonstrate to Pakistan.
Well, they've said it's unacceptable. I presume you've checked whether you still have a visa for China.
Me, I don't need a visa.
I suppose the BJP line is that economic development in Kashmir will also curb terrorism in the region. The 7/7 attacks in London, so they say, were committed by people trained in Kashmiri terrorism camps. Is India ready for the response from hardline Islamists? Who knows, coming from Syria, let alone via Afghanistan, to attack Indian installations?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, we don't think that terrorism has anything to do with economics. It's a madness, and it has to be treated as a madness. But the people of Kashmir have been denied development, and it's a beautiful place. It should be developed, and the reason is that nobody wants to go and invest there with all this Article 370 and its implications. That's why we are very keen to develop Kashmir. And as far as Syrians and the Talibanis and all welcome. Let them come and try. We are ready for the Islamic terrorists anytime.
Well, anyway, no one can even go to Jammu and Kashmir right now. The tourists were all thrown out and everyone was arrested, as far as we know, all the leaders there. Is that next for Nagaland, Mizoram, Assam, Manipur, Goa? Is India going to cut off the internet, all the phones, and then going to directly rule all those areas of India?
Don't listen to propaganda. 371 has got nothing to do, no similarity with 370. 371 is that forest land of tribals cannot be acquired. There's no question of Indians can't go and settle there. There's no question of Indians can't go and invest there. There's no such restrictions. It's got no comparison at all.
Well, the Trump administration, which you probably dispute, is happy with this decision. We've heard nothing from Russia, particularly. We have heard from China, which says it's unacceptable. What do you think is the reason why no Arab country has attacked your party, your government, and your country for this decision?
There are some Arab countries which have supported us. UAE has, in fact, formally issued a statement of support. And, Saudi Arabia allows only one country to fly over it to go to Israel, and that is India. There is a recognition that in India, Muslims are actually in all parts of the government. We have been senior intelligence bureau officers who are Muslims. We have had Muslims who have been president. We have had Muslims in Hindu majority states as chief ministers. Furthermore, on education, doctors, medical tourism. I mean, so many Arabs come to our country for medical treatment. They are not going to side with Pakistan, which looks like a motley put together. They're probably Pakistan has four parts which are all pulling at different directions: the Baluchis, the Pakhtunis, the Sindhis, and the domination of the Punjabis is something that all of them resent.
Well, how long before the Indian government allows journalists into this area again and the phones to work, whether it landline, whether it be the internet, whether it be mobile phones?
Well, the short, smart answer is when we think the situation is normal now and they can come, but I would suspect it won't be more than 3 weeks.
And you're not expecting any UN Security Council resolution against India to be passed? After all, Article 370 was in tandem with a UN resolution as regards the disputed areas.
It had 370 had nothing to do with the UN Security Council. And that's also an illegal petition filed by Jawaharlal Nehru because he didn't consult the cabinet. So under our laws, we can withdraw that. We will not pass any resolutions. If they do, we throw it in the waste paper basket.
And do you expect protests in Kashmir? Because, as I say, no journalists are there to cover the fact that whether there are protests all this week.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, there's no protest there. But after lifting the curbs, whether there are protests or not, you'll come and see it for yourself. I don't think there will be. People want normalcy. And all my friends in Kashmir say we want normalcy. But we have been pushed around too long. And now that we now have got a clear indication that India has no intention whatsoever to let go of even an inch of Kashmir, including the part which is illegally being held by Pakistan.
Dr. Subramanian Swamy, thank you.